part of what we're going to do this morning, I want to invite Scott Mueller to the stage. Scott is a Juneau local, graduated from USC, which we won't hold against him. I'm a Notre Dame fan, but with a PhD. He has worked in aerospace at Google's Loon program and most recently at Meta as a staff engineer. And he's now an independent contractor, parent, and beloved colleague and friend of Jeremy and Tyler at Hanson Gress. And Scott's also one of the members of our content team. He has spent way too many hours volunteering for us to help us to understand this material. So Scott, can you join us on the stage? And so over this next 45 minutes, we have a couple things to do, including giving Monique Nelson an opportunity from the Forest Service to talk about the Tongass Forest Plan. So we have about 25, 30 minutes to work with some AI tools. So we look on your table, make sure on your name tag, if you don't have a good Wi-Fi connection, go ahead and connect to the Wi-Fi at Centennial Hall. We went and paid a little extra to make sure everyone had good connectivity, because that'll be helpful with these next exercises. So I want to turn it over to Scott.
Thank you. So when we were meeting to prepare for this conference, Juneau Economic Development Council asked for some kind of interesting ideas to demonstrate what's possible today, where AI is at. And so we had some brainstorming. And what we're going to do now is one of the outputs, one of the products of that brainstorming, which I'll talk more about in a moment. But to kick us off and get you started, because this is a kind of a you get to play situation, if you want to take your cell phone and point it at that QR code on the screen, you should get, if you have the phone app, if you have the camera app open, for instance, you should get a QR code URL. And if you tap on that, it should take you to this website. Granted, it'll be formatted for a phone and not for a desktop, so it'll look a little different. And I'm going to talk you through how to play with it right now, and then you can do some playing, maybe with your partners at your table, while we continue the morning. And then I'm going to come back and talk some more about how this was built, and also about some alternatives that I explored that are even more powerful, because this is not quite state-of-the-art. In fact, it's a bit from that, because state-of-the-art is so exponential right now. So when it pops up, I've already done some prior collaborative Conjure runs here. So I'm going to start a new one, top right. There's a new connection option. And I'm going to enter a couple organizations that I want some brainstorming on for collaboration. So I'm going to again fall back to Jeremy and Tyler of Hanson Gress. And I'm not sure the executive of Alaska Glacier Seafoods is offhand, actually. I'll do the same I did below. Greg Smith, Juneau Assembly, friend of mine.
Is Greg in the room?
Is Greg here? Not yet. He might be sleeping. And then I'm going to hit the Do Magic Things button. Boom. Okay, so now what you'll see is there's 3 orange dots at the bottom, and these are going to be updated in about a minute. 30 seconds, the first 2 should light up green, and then about 30 more seconds, you should get the third. What these are is this will be an organization 1 description based upon Perplexity search. So Perplexity is a generative large language model that uses internet search to ground its results. I'll be talking more in my flash talk this afternoon on Level Up, in the Level Up session, about grounding and how this helps with hallucinations or fabrication of information. So there, these 2 popped up green. And we've got a synopsis here of Hanson Gress, the founders, and company information that wouldn't be naturally possible with most language models. They don't have this much detail. But with the grounding embedded, and you can see the links here, you can verify information, and also that tends to have a lot more detail. Yes? And you can type in any 2 organizations at your table, for instance, right? So it now fills in both organizations and the individuals, the details, and then it combines the 2 and runs a third iteration. And this is ChatGPT 01 based. I'm going to talk more about 01 in my flash talk again, but it's a reasoning model, which means it does more thinking, more analysis, better analysis. And it's being asked to look for cross-organizational opportunities between these 2 people and to brainstorm them and then emit them. And so here you've got concepts and rationale for proposal number 1, concepts and rationale for proposal number 2, concepts and rationale for 3, 4, 5, and some concluding remarks. And again, it's citing the references from the earlier 2 runs that gave organizational descriptions. Your screen probably looks like this. It doesn't have the sidebar. You can bring the sidebar in and out with this tool over here. And then you can run it again by saying new connection. And if you pop out the sidebar, you can go back and look at your prior results. Any initial questions while you play with that? Is that working for people? Sorry, too fast. Probably because everyone's playing too. So, yeah, so as far as your actions, it would be simply to come up with 2 individuals and organizations, hit make magic, and wait for about a minute to see how the analysis pops out, explore it, see if it makes sense, see if it's interesting, maybe talk to your partner about it at the table, and then you can run it again with new connection at the top. You can pick anything for these 2 organizations. The one warning I would have for you is that if the organization is not clearly Juneau, Alaska, there's nothing here telling the LLM that you're talking about Juneau, Alaska necessarily. So if it's like an ambiguous organization name, you might say Scott Moeller of organization in Juneau, Alaska, or something to that effect, or else you might end up with Norway. You never know.
Are there 2 people in the room that represent 2 different companies that would like to have their data and themselves shared on the big screen for a little live networking? What we've created here is an opportunity for, basically it's an agent that scans out there, sees one organization, identifies another organization, and then uses AI tools to see what partnerships might exist. And we think this could actually be quite practical. Bill Lady, come on up to the stage. Yeah, come up to the stage, quick. And we have one real person. Yes, come on up. And and we'll invite Scott back on the stage. And we're gonna go ahead and run this live. One more example, and hopefully it's a live example. People can also use the tool themselves. And let's do this. Go, Scott.
All right. All right, so that'll take about a minute. We're gonna wait a minute while it does its work, hopefully successfully. A couple quick points. And what kind of time do we have here? Let's see. 3 minutes. Oh, okay, well that'll be just 1 minute and then we'll do this. This website itself was actually largely generated by these language model AI tools. And that's coming along really rapidly and completely transforming what software development looks like, which is my domain. And I'm excited about that because making fun things like this has gone from, I don't do a lot of front-end software, and this is considered front-end when it's what you see, it's what the user interacts with, that's front-end software. I don't typically do a lot of that. It takes me a lot of time to do it when I need to. I would probably have spent 40 hours, 30, 40 hours building this traditionally, and this took, well, there were some false ends, but far less than 6, and it could have been done in 3 had I taken the right approach off the bat. So it's like drastically changing the effort for me to build things that are interesting and experiment. All right, looks like we have a markdown formatting failure on this, but so for Bill, we have researched background on Alaska Applied Sciences. We have some key contributions by Alaska Applied Sciences. Some of Bill's additional roles. Director of Earth Protection Program, is that accurate? Good, always good to see we're not hallucinating. And the principal at Alaska Applied Sciences. And as well as philosophy and legacy, interesting. And is Angie. We have a full name. Biomass staff, I figured that out. And sustainable energy specialist. Some of your key expertise, career highlights, mission impact, and organizational context for Southeast conferences. So then it recommended some, and this is where the formatting failed me. I'm trying to think of how to make this prettier. Yeah, the problem is it goes off the right, because it didn't detect the markdown tags, but we'll read the headlines and call it good. I'm sorry? Yes, so to be clear, this is being generated, this particular output, which is then recommendations for possible collaborations, is generated from those 2 biographies it generated, and it's done so through ChatGPT's O1 model, which you can subscribe to for like the Plus plan at $20 a month, for instance. Claude has a much friendlier demeanor, or it has a more normal demeanor, let's say, human demeanor. That's possible. And Claude also has, well, anyway, we're going to run over. Yes, that is true. So let's see, I'll try to read off a couple of the recommendations. We'll just see if they resonate or seem reasonable. Both organizations focus on renewable energy solutions tailored to Alaska's unique environment. AASI led projects exploring green ammonia production as a carbon-free fuel alternative, while Southeast Conference, through Angie's leadership, develops ArcGIS spatial databases to map regional biomass supply and demand dynamics. Does that seem accurate? So there's an overlap on renewable energy interests, let's say. Yeah? Oh, is there a common interest in renewable energy solutions by both organizations?
Yeah.
The problem you're having here, I think, is confusing my 2 hats. One is the company, Alaska Applied Sciences, Inc., and the other is the Leedy Foundation.
Yes.
I spend more time on the latter, and the 2 are interested in the same things, but of course they cannot engage with each other because that would be self-dealing.
Okay.
So it's a little confusing to the system to try to put the 2
you got-
together. Thank you.
And I think the way
I also wear 2 hats too, Southeast Conference and the biomass energy and training workforce and supporting sawmills and cordwood boilers. But on the side, I have a small business focused on fungi and forest health and human health that also relates to my job.
Yeah, I think I didn't conceive of that. I'll say that the prompt as I wrote it was more focused on the individuals with asking for auxiliary research on their organizations. So it's probably brainstorming for you as individuals common topics to discuss, not necessarily as the organizational focus, as I'm implying it's an organizational focus thing, but it's really more about the individuals.
The system might also be a bit confused by assuming that we are a going concern, that is, that we have a staff and we have revenue and profitability, none of which are true. So that's a handicap.
Okay. STEM education and outreach. So we're probably out of time here for the demo, but that also is suggesting that you both maybe have interest in STEM education and outreach programs, and it cites some background for both of you on that topic. And then community energy planning and policy advocacy, perhaps. Potential to do workshops together. So anyway, that's the result of the demonstration.
We're done?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up.
So one quick comment, as any of these searches, you do have to vet what you verify.
I'm sorry, one more time?
As with any of these searches, you have to vet or verify.
Yes, you need to vet or verify, which is why when I'm using Perplexity here like this, I'm using Perplexity because it provides these groundings. And in my talk, I'll talk about some other services that provide groundings as well, and then you follow those links and you verify the information. This is a combination of 2 tools. It does the background research with Perplexity, and then it combines those results. As he says, it's very agentic, actually, which was what we were discussing as the year of agents. And it combines them into the ChatGPT, with ChatGPT O1, the intelligent reasoning model combines them. And also, just one last point, which is going to be that this performance gets blown out of the water by state-of-the-art, which would be OpenAI deep research, and I do a demonstration of that during my flash talk on leveling up. Thanks. Unplug. Good call.
Wow, Scott is amazing and a great sport. We asked him, we said we were looking for a way to demonstrate some AI tools and incorporate their networking, and he built a tool. And I while none of us, well, I don't say that. probably few of us in the room have Scott skills, I do think it is relatively accessible with a little bit of assistance to create a customized tool to meet your own business needs, which is what we want you all to walk away with. But now I'd like to transition us to our next moment on our agenda as we work through our day, and that is an opportunity to hear from the Tongass National, about the Tongass National Forest Plan revision. Monique Nelson is the Director of Ecosystem Planning and Information Management for the U.S. Forest Service, Alaska region. Monique is a forest and wetland ecologist by training, but has spent most of her career working on challenging natural resource management problems at the nexus of resource conservation and economic resilience. She has lived and worked in diverse communities across the country and is proud to have the opportunity to contribute to the revision of the Tongass Forest Plan. Please welcome Monique.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Well, welcome to day 2 of the JEDC Alaska Innovation Summit. I'm happy to be here to share on the kind of side topic for the summit this year, the Forest Plan revision. It was advertised alongside the AI topic, and I'm pleased to be able to share the accomplishments that we've made and how we've progressed since the last time we met together here at the Innovation Summit last year. As Brian shared, I serve as the Director for Ecosystem Planning and Information Management for the Alaska region of the U.S. Forest Service. I've lived here in Juneau with my family for the past 5 years, and I've had the privilege of working with really talented individuals at the Mendenhall Glacier Visitor Center, at the Juneau Ranger District, in offices across the Tongass, and now in the regional office based out of the federal building here downtown. I'm pleased to be here to share an update on the Tongass Forest Plan revision, a topic that's important to many of you for a plethora of reasons. It includes 3 of my favorite topics, and you'll see things I'm passionate about are collaborative land stewardship, species conservation, and the opportunity to experience rad recreation right outside our doorstep and across Southeast Alaska. The plan also covers many other values and common points of tension related to economic resiliency, community self-determination, and tribal sovereignty. I'm proud to be part of a team that formally initiated the Tongass Plan revision process just about a year ago, and that's made tremendous progress on a highly complex project and process during that time. Many of you have interacted with Erin Matthews, our Tongass Forest Plan Revision Coordinator, who will be leading a deep dive session later today, or Barb Miranda, our Deputy Forest Supervisor, who's not available today but has served as our spokesperson, including while we were here together last year. The plan revision effort, for those of you who are less familiar, is a land management planning effort to align current day values and management to the more than 16 million acres of the Tongass National Forest in Alaska. The current plan that we operate under was written in 1997 with some significant amendments in 2008 and 2016. Most recently in 2016, the notable amendment was to initiate the planned transition from predominantly old-growth timber harvest to young-growth timber harvest on the Tongass. Forest plans like the one we're starting to revise for the Tongass include big picture decisions that are comparable to zoning decisions or other land allocation decisions. And then they also include specifics on how to manage resources for long-term benefits. We're looking across resources to gain an understanding of the critical services that the Tongass provides to local residents and to visitors from around the globe. We're considering economic drivers like tourism and fisheries, and considering local needs like access to food and fuel and power, and the serenity of the forest itself. In my few minutes with you, I want to share where we've been over this last year, where we hope to journey with you in the course of the plan revision effort, and some of the unknowns that we'll be facing in the Forest Service and as a community of practice. Last year, we spent quite a bit of time talking with you about possible futures for Southeast Alaska, including scenario thinking here at the Innovation Summit. During our deep dive and other sessions at the Innovation Summit, we were fortunate to hear from entrepreneurs and outfitters, guides, large and small cruise ship operators, and local users as we started to explore how people view management of the forests and what aspects could be improved. Shortly after, we completed 25 community workshops across Southeast Alaska to learn more about what local communities and organizations value most on the Tongass National Forest and where areas of importance, conflict, or desire for different management may be located. We learned more about how people want and need to access the forest, how communities depend on the forest, and what issues should be given consideration as we begin the forest plan revision process. Also in the past year, our team has compiled a full assessment of existing conditions across the Tongass. This includes consolidating the best available resource information from our own databases, as well as the best available information in science from our partner organizations and agencies, and presenting summaries of that information for a huge suite of topics. These include socioeconomics, air and water quality, fisheries, tourism, recreation, and more. The assessments accentuate the vast and abundant resources of the Tongass, the multiple uses and values associated with those, and some of the known and unknown risks to future management. We released the assessments for public review in early January and just finished the opportunity for public comment on Monday of this week. We're grateful to have received about 50 unique public comment letters from individuals and organizations, as well as a couple of hundred letters that share the same language to express interest in long-term conservation of the Tongass. Some of the letters indicate support and agreement with the assessment findings. Others express the need for more in-depth analysis or to take a more integrated approach to describe the so what associated with those current conditions. Many invested organizations and individuals point out that they're ready to move forward and identify a need to change the plan and components that would make a revised plan more successful for Southeast Alaska. I thank everyone who took time to read and understand and provide feedback on the assessment, and I appreciate you understanding that it's the first in quite a long process and quite a few steps that will take a bit of attention and tending over the next few years till we get to a revised plan. In the coming year, as we as the Forest Service planning team expect to begin developing a new proposed plan in earnest and in collaboration with those individuals and organizations that are interested in working with us. A formal need to change statement that describes the benefits of moving from the 1997 plan to a modern plan will be articulated with public feedback. A new zoning map that describes where certain land management activities would be concentrated and where minimal land management would take place will be developed, and the specifics of how to promote desired conditions for valuable natural resources in the communities of Southeast Alaska will be drafted. Forest Service plan revisions are rooted in ecological, social, and economic sustainability. These are topics and tensions that are highly relevant in Southeast Alaska, and I'm honored to be working with you to define what that means for our national forest. Well, perhaps some of you are feeling inspired by this look to the future for the Tongass, and maybe some of you are thinking that I'm crazy to be even talking about it right now. So I'll attempt to address some of the knowns and unknowns that are before us. As you know, the Forest Service, as well as other federal agencies, we're all in a time of transition right now as the new administration lays out its priorities and provides implementation guidance. The President has clearly outlined many of his priorities through executive orders and other communications that address the federal government broadly and the Forest Service specifically. We will continue to support the President's stated prioritized focus on energy, minerals, and timber, as we always do, and we'll continue to promote responsible resource use through our management on both the Tongass and the Chugach National Forests. We also know that many staff in the Forest Service Alaska region in Southeast and South Central Alaska were recently terminated, including many with ties to local communities and with local knowledge, and some highly valued members of our plan revision team. We know that the administration has requested reorganization plans and plans for large-scale reductions in force. We do not expect to maintain the same capacity of human and financial resources or to be able to implement the program of work that we've been able to enjoy until now. I can say with honesty that we don't know, and we won't know for a few weeks or maybe a few months, what the true change will be and what it will look like for us and for our planning team and for the Tongass and Chugach in the coming years. We don't know what it'll look like for our many nonprofit partners or the private enterprises that we partner with to accomplish the mutual goals for our communities. But with an optimistic outlook, I'll say that circumstances surrounding forest planning and forest plan revision are always complex and dynamic. Circumstances like changes in presidential administrations, natural disasters, changes in economic drivers are constantly evolving. The planning process that we use in the Forest Service allows for these dynamic perturbations and gives opportunity to consider, correct, and take a new look at our collective futures. I'll share that the Forest Service's mission remains the same under any administration, and will continue to serve the people of Alaska by ensuring that our national forests support communities, economies, and the Alaskan way of life for generations to come. I'll acknowledge that the Forest Service intends to continue working with our partners and with other USDA agencies, with private industry, with tribes and Alaska Native corporations, with state and local governments, and local organizations like the Juneau Economic Development Council. These relationships are crucial to accomplishing all we can together as a community. In this time of change, the Forest Service hopes to continue to show up strong within our communities and with our partners. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to continue our forest planning process with you and for you. I look forward to continued opportunities to share and to seeing you later in the day. Enjoy the summit.